Did you know that cervical cancer is rampant not only globally but mainly in Indian subcontinent? In India alone, 75,000 women are diagnosed to have cervical cancer and die. And we lose a woman every 7 minutes to cervical cancer. That is hugely alarming. And can we do something about it? Of course we can. Wait on and stay tuned to listen to more. Cervical cancer is a global burden. It affects nearly 6.5 lakhs women every year around the globe. In India alone, more than 3 lakh women can be diagnosed with potential cervical cancer, putting them at risk of early death. And we need to be doing something on a war footing today to reduce this global cervical burden. And how can we do that? We know that majority of the cervical cancers, especially 90% of them, are caused by a virus particle called human papilloma virus. It is transmitted between adults, especially with intimate contact, and can stay in your body. If your resistance power is good, you fight it away. If you do not, it changes the way your gene acts, your DNA acts, and converts into cancer cells. And that can cause cervical cancer. So the good point here is we know that the cancer is caused by an infection. We can prevent that infection causing cancer. That is the beauty of the whole thing. And we know there are various subtypes of these viruses like HPV 16 and 18. And these two are the main culprits involved or incriminated in more than 75% of the cervical cancers. These are the global statistics, and the same holds good for India as well. To give you a perspective, in India, currently breast cancer is the leading cancer. The second common cause of death in women is cervical cancer. But can we make a difference? Yes, indeed, we can make a difference. We are able to now detect not only the cell changes which can lead on to cancer, but also whether you harbor the HPV infection. It's by a test called Pap Smear Test, where your gynecologist will do an intimate examination and take off the scraped cells from the neck of the womb or the cervix, subject them to a study under the microscope, see whether they show infection or any progression towards pre-cancer. Now, pre-cancer is a very interesting term. It has not yet become cancer. If I leave it 10-20 years, potentially would become cancer. Would we wait for that? No way. We catch them early, nip it in the bud, and get the patient going to survive long. That's how the treatment is now, or the screening is now. So Pap smear should be done in all women between the ages of 21 to 65 every 3 years. Did I not mention about HPV testing? Of course, we now do the viral testing as well. So along with the Pap smear, if the viral particles are also tested and you turn out to be positive, you don't need to hit the panic button. The body fights it out. If the body doesn't fight it out, it persists, then we treat with appropriate measures to get rid of the changes which are there in the cervix due to the viral particle. So if somebody has had a co-testing, which means they've had Pap smear as well as the HPV, and if all comes negative, which is grand news, they need to have the test once in 5 years up to the age of 65. Women who have had a hysterectomy for benign reasons like fibroid or bleeding do not need to have a Pap smear at all. So this is very, very important for us to understand how screening not only detects infection or pre-cancer, but it helps us prevent the occurrence of an invasive cancer and thereby improve survival and longevity. Did you know that boys also need HPV vaccine? Yes, why leave them out? All children should get cervical cancer vaccine. I would call it HPV vaccine between the age of 9 and 14 to give them the full protection and immunity throughout life. Let's go one step further. We have now a beautiful vaccine which helps us fight the viral infection itself. All of us are prone for flu, but we do get flu vaccine, so the severity of the flu comes down. We don't end up having a pneumonia and ending up in hospital. We did this for COVID, didn't we? We survived the pandemic. We didn't lose lives. We came out of it very smoothly because Bharat had its own vaccine and we exported it to countries which needed it the most, thereby preventing COVID pandemic run its rampage in most of the developing countries. Similarly, HPV has now got a vaccine. We now vaccinate all girls and boys between the age of 9 and 14 to prevent the infection in them and thereby prevent the persistence of this virus in the body, causing either cervical cancer or male genital organ cancer in the boys. So it is given age of 9 and 14, one now and one at 6 months. And beyond the age of 14, it's still not too late. You have 3 doses of this vaccine, one now, one at 2 months and one at 6 months. Do you need a booster? Answer is no, because this protects and gives lifelong immunity, and it protects more than 90% of the cervical cancers as well as the male organ cancers. Is that all? Does it have any other benefit? Of course, it comes with a multitude of benefits. The cervical cancer vaccine not only protects against the cervical cancer, it also protects against vaginal cancer, vulval cancer, which are the private parts of a female, penile cancer, anorectal cancer, the lower part of the intestine, oropharyngeal cancers, and neck cancers in about 40%. So one tika will save you for the rest of your life against so many battling diseases. No need to be worried about them in your long life. While I'm at it, I would like to strongly urge one more point. Smoking and tobacco usage of any nature is one culprit which can worsen cervical cancer. Many people think smoking only affects the neck and head. No, cervical cancer is known to be aggravated and persistent and virulent and fiery if you're a smoker or a tobacco user. So one thing we can do to our body and to appreciate the soul and the body, we can stop smoking or use nothing which is tobacco in it. So that is an important message I would like to give apart from the vaccine as preventive methods for cervical cancer. So the good news is we can now eradicate cervical cancer just like we did goodbye to poliovirus. Isn't that very encouraging? I'm sure all of you will now have vaccine parties for your young girls when they are attaining menarche and get them all vaccinated. And that is the life insurance certificate you would gift your young girls so they grow out into healthy moms and grandmoms. That is actually enlightening. Now, the WHO has come up with this mantra that we need to vaccinate at least 90% of our young adolescent children. 70% should have had the screening for cervical cancer, and we need to treat at least 90% of the pre-cancer lesions. Thereby, we prevent the progression of cervical cancer by 2030. This is a futuristic attempt. Are we there yet? Not really, but we will get there. That is why this awareness program. So let us pledge in the month of March, which is Women Empower Month. We know that this International Women's Day theme is Give to Gain. So give this awareness, give this knowledge to everyone who needs the HPV vaccine.